classify foods into three categories: positive pranic food, negative pranic food and zero pranic food. If you eat positive pranic food, energy will reverberate in a dynamic way.
The ash god is very, very highly positive. If you consume a glass of ash god juice every day, the number of cancerous cells in your body will dramatically come down. The sharpness of your intellect will enhance itself.
Your mind seems to be clearer and sharper. So it gives you enormous amount of energy. At the same time, it keeps you very, very calm.
Honey is the only substance found on the planet whose chemical composition is very close to that of human blood. It's very good for your heart, it's good for your brains, it keeps your mind alert and it's highly energetic. If you want to integrate the system just for health, consuming honey will bring a certain balance to the circulatory system. There was a period of my life when I just lived on groundnut and banana, that's all. Because it has everything you need. One handful, this much of groundnut soaked overnight, my entire day would go. And perfectly active, more active than most people will ever imagine. It has everything to sustain you.
It's a complete food by itself.
In the yogic culture, we classify foods into three categories: positive pranic food, negative pranic food and zero pranic food. Positive prana means it adds a certain pranic energy to the system when you consume. Negative prana takes away energy from the system. Zero neither adds nor takes away, it's eaten for taste and lethargy. If you eat positive pranic food, energy will reverberate in a dynamic way.
Particularly, some of the things were very, very positive are the ash god. The ash god is very, very highly positive. I think these days you're only hanging it in front of your house or breaking at three corners of the road and giving it to the buffalo, but you are not eating it. No, this is to be eaten. Because the vegetable has such high pranic energy, you put it in front of your home so that there is nice energy. But if there is so much energy to it, isn't it good to put it into you? It's good to put it into you, especially if you consume. There are many experiments on this. If you consume a glass of ash god juice every day, the number of cancerous cells in your body will dramatically come down.
Especially children must drink ash god juice. Daily consumption of ash god, you will see distinctly your mind seems to be clearer and sharper. This will be noticeable within a few weeks of consumption of ash god. You will see, morning you drink coffee, it gives you energy with agitation. You drink a glass of ash god juice, it gives you enormous amount of energy. At the same time, it keeps you very, very calm. One should consume it as much as you can. But those of you who are asthmatic, who are susceptible to colds and coughs, such people, if you consume ash god juice, you may immediately have colds because it cools the system. So if such a problem is there, such people should always add a little bit of honey or pepper to ash god juice and consume it. This will neutralize the cooling effect of the ash god to some extent.
When we were eating for survival, we ate whatever we could lay our hands on. Now that we have choices, we have to choose what's best for the body. If we don't choose like this, then we will somehow live and go. All these things are relevant only for those people who are constantly striving how to better their life, how to perform little better, how to open up another dimension of life. If these concerns are there, then what kind of food or fuel you put into this machine is very, very important. Honey is the only substance found on the planet whose chemical composition is very close to that of human blood. You change a few things, it's almost like blood. Daily consumption of honey can do a lot for your health, especially people who have excess mucus problems. It's very good for your heart, it's good for your brains, it keeps your mind alert and it's highly energetic. So daily consumption of honey can do a lot, especially if you have growing children. They must consume honey on a daily basis. It'll do a lot for the development of their intelligence and everything. If you cook honey, it'll become poisonous. Honey should not be cooked. I know people are baking it, cooking it in cakes and other things, it's not a good thing to do. Certain part of the honey turns poisonous if you cook it. You should put it in warm water, not in boiling hot water. It has different types of impacts on the system. If it consumed raw, it has one kind of impact. If it is consumed in cold water, it has another kind of impact. If it is consumed in warm water, it's a different kind of impact. We want to consume it in warm water, because we want the system to open up. If you want to integrate the system just for health, somebody is feeling anemic. Anemia means on one level the blood has lost its iron, that means you lost your steel. You lost the strength in the body. You will feel exhausted, simply exhausted, for nothing. To take care of this, one of the simple things is you consume a little bit of honey in warm water on a daily basis, and you will see slowly the RBC content will go up. If there's more oxygen in the blood, suddenly you feel a burst of energy, suddenly everything is active, the rejuvenation system in the body is going up, the dead cells are being replaced quickly. The level of inertia that you feel in the body is much lower, the level of inertia that you feel in your mind is much lower. So consuming honey will bring a certain balance to the circulatory system, which is very, very essential for a yoga practitioner, because you're pushing the body in certain ways. So keeping the blood chemistry in a certain balance, keeping the blood pure will definitely happen with a regular consumption of honey, and it's very necessary for someone who practices yoga. Of all the things, a groundnut, I'm particularly passionate about the groundnut because there was a period of my life when I just lived on groundnut and banana, that's all. Because it has everything you need. Just soaked groundnut, one handful, this much of groundnut soaked overnight, one banana, my entire day would go. I'm perfectly active, more active than most people will ever imagine. It has everything to sustain you.
It's a complete food by itself. If you soak it for over 6 to 8 hours, it takes away certain aspects which are called as pitta. You know what's pitta? Allopathic doctors don't look at it, but the Ayurveda is based on this, Ushna, Shita and Pitta. It takes away the pitta. And taking this soaked groundnut, chewing it well and eating.
Just make sure it's not some genetically engineered nonsense, whatever.
One thing is, it could be genetically modified. They are no more declaring which is modified, which is not. Another thing is, you're pumping in fertilizers and pesticides to such an extent, the groundnut is no more a groundnut.
Just make sure it's a more organic thing.